I cried in the bathroom. Because of my English accent, I remember the exact moment I decided to never speak English in public again. It was a Tuesday afternoon, a conference room in Singapore. 12 people around the table, from America, from England, from Australia, and me. My name is Priya. I was born in Chennai, India. I had studied English my entire life. I had read English novels. I had watched English films. I had written English essays that my teachers called excellent. But the moment I opened my mouth in that room, everything fell apart. I said 3 sentences, just 3. And the man across the table, polite, professional, well-dressed, leaned slightly toward his colleague and said something quietly. And his colleague smiled. They thought I didn't notice. I noticed. I excused myself. I walked to the bathroom. I locked the door. And I stood in front of the mirror for 4 minutes trying to remember why I had worked so hard my entire life. In today's story, you will learn 7 expressions that changed everything for Priya, and that will change the way you sound in English forever. Stay until the end, because the last one is the reason most people sound like they are reading from a textbook instead of actually speaking. Priya had been working in international finance for 6 years. She was exceptional at her job. Her reports were precise. Her analysis was sharp. Her written English was better than most native speakers in her office. But spoken English was different, and nobody had ever taught her why. The first thing nobody teaches you is how Americans and British speakers use silence. In many cultures, silence in a conversation means you are thinking. It means you are being careful. It means you are being respectful. In English professional settings, silence means something went wrong. When Priya paused to think during meetings, people moved on. They assumed she had finished. They talked over her. Not because they were rude, because in the rhythm of English conversation, a long pause is an open door. The expression that changed this for her was simple. Actually, I was just about to say something. This is how English speakers hold the floor. They signal that they are not finished. They say it naturally, without apology, without aggression. Actually, I was just about to say something. This tells the room, I am still speaking. Wait for me. Priya practiced it every morning for 1 week. By Friday, she had used it twice in real meetings. Both times, the room waited. The second thing nobody teaches you is the difference between being direct and being rude. Priya had always been told that English speakers prefer direct communication, so she was direct. She said, I disagree, when she disagreed. She said, that is wrong, when something was wrong. She said, I don't understand, when she was confused. And people found her cold, difficult, hard to work with. What nobody told her is that English professional culture wraps directness inside softening language. It is not dishonesty, it is a system. And once you understand the system, everything changes. Instead of, I disagree, English speakers say, I see it slightly differently. Instead of, that is wrong, they say, I am not sure that is entirely accurate. Instead of, I don't understand, they say, could you walk me through that one more time? Same meaning, completely different feeling. The room hears confidence instead of confrontation, curiosity instead of criticism. I see it slightly differently. This is not weakness. This is fluency, real fluency, the kind that takes years to understand and seconds to use. The third thing is the one that had been destroying Priya's confidence for 6 years without her knowing. Her sentences went up at the end. In many Asian languages and accents, sentences naturally rise in pitch at the end. It is part of the music of the language. it is beautiful in its place. But in English, when a statement ends with a rising tone, it sounds like a question. And when everything you say sounds like a question, you sound uncertain. You sound like you are asking for permission to have an opinion. Priya had been presenting her analysis, sharp, accurate, well-researched, and it had been landing in the room as a series of questions because of her intonation alone. The fix is not to change your accent. Accents are identity. Accents are history. The fix is to bring your voice down at the end of statements. Not all of them, just the important ones. The ones that carry your point. The numbers support this approach. End low. It is a fact. We should move forward in Q3. End low. It is a recommendation. I believe this is the right direction. End low. It is a position. When your voice drops at the end, the room hears certainty, and certainty is what gets people promoted. The fourth expression Priya learned came from a colleague named David, who had watched her struggle in meetings for months before he finally said something. He pulled her aside after a Thursday presentation and said, "You know your material better than anyone in that room. The problem is you keep saying, 'I think.'" Priya said, "What is wrong with 'I think'?" David said, "Nothing. But you say it before every single point. I think the data shows. I think we should consider. I think this approach might work." After a while, the room stops hearing your analysis and starts hearing your doubt. The replacement is not to sound arrogant. The replacement is simply to drop the hedge when you have the evidence. Not, "I think the data shows strong growth," but "the data shows strong growth." Not, "I think we should consider this approach," but "this approach addresses the core problem." "I think" has its place. Use it when you are genuinely uncertain. Remove it when you are not. The room will feel the difference immediately. The fifth thing is about a word that almost every non-native English speaker overuses without knowing it. The word is sorry. Priya said sorry constantly. "Sorry, could I ask a question?" "Sorry, I didn't catch that." "Sorry, I need a moment to think." In her culture, this was politeness. In English professional culture, it was read as lack of confidence. Over time, it became invisible. People stopped hearing her apologies as courtesy and started hearing them as confirmation that she was unsure of herself. The replacement is not to be rude. The replacement is to be neutral. Instead of "Sorry, could I ask a question?" Quick question. Instead of "Sorry, I didn't catch that." Could you repeat that? Instead of "Sorry, I need a moment to think." Silence. Just think. Nobody is leaving. Remove sorry from places where nothing went wrong. Save it for places where something actually did. When you do say it, it will mean something. The sixth expression is one that Priya heard in her third month and did not understand for 2 weeks. Her manager said, "Let's put a pin in that." Priya wrote it down. She looked it up that evening. She found nothing that made sense. Put a pin in that means, let's pause this topic and return to it later. It comes from old bulletin boards where you would pin a note to come back to. Today, it is one of the most common expressions in English language meetings across every industry. When someone says it to you, the correct response is, "Sounds good. We can revisit after we cover the main points." When you want to use it yourself, "I want to make sure we cover this properly. Can we put a pin in it and come back before the end of the meeting?" It signals that you understand the rhythm of professional conversation, that you know how to manage time and attention in a room, that you belong there. The seventh expression is the one that changed everything for Priya. 3 months after the bathroom moment, She was in another meeting. Similar room, similar faces, a proposal on the table that she believed was missing a critical element. She had two choices: stay quiet or say the thing she had practiced. She looked at the table and said, "I want to build on what was just said." The room turned toward her. She spoke for 90 seconds, clear, grounded, voice dropping at the end of every key sentence. No sorry, no I think, no rising questions. When she finished, the senior director across the table nodded and said, "That is exactly the point we needed to address. I want to build on what was just said. This is how you enter a conversation that is already moving. You are not interrupting. You are not starting over. You are connecting your thought to what came before and making the room feel like the conversation just got better because you joined it." Priya never cried in a bathroom again. Not because her accent changed. It didn't. Not because she became someone else. She didn't. Because she learned the system. And once you learn the system, the accent is not the barrier anymore. The words are the bridge. Let's go over what you learned today. 1. Actually, I was just about to say something. Hold the floor. Don't let the room move on without you. 2. I see it slightly differently. Be direct without being cold. Wrap your disagreement in professional language. 3. Bring your voice down at the end of statements. Sound certain. The room promotes certainty. 4. Remove I think when you have the evidence. Let your analysis speak without apologizing for it. 5. Remove sorry from places where nothing went wrong. Save it for when it matters. 6. Let's put a pin in that. Understand the rhythm of professional conversation. 7. I want to build on what was just said. Enter any conversation with confidence and connection. 7 expressions, 1 story, and a woman who went from crying in a bathroom in Singapore to running the meeting. Now here is the question that matters. Can you say these expressions with the right tone, the right intonation, the right confidence? Because reading them here is one thing. Saying, I want to build on what was just said, with a voice that actually commands a room, that takes practice, real practice, honest feedback, not someone telling you, great job, every time. Open SpeakPro. Say these 7 expressions out loud. The app will score your pronunciation and your intonation honestly. It will show you exactly where your voice rises when it should fall. It will tell you which sounds to fix and how to fix them. The link is in the description below. Priya found her voice. So will you.